we ready?
Yeah, I'm just gonna introduce. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our discussion for the short film Garbage. People are still coming in, so I'm gonna give just a few more minutes for everyone to finish coming in. But this is the CMU International Film Festival live discussion event for Garbage. I'm Marina. I'm the logistics coordinator at the film festival, and I'll be helping facilitate today's discussion. So I just want to say a few things, housekeeping things before we begin. The event is being recorded, the live discussion is being recorded, and by joining us, you are agreeing to having your participation being recorded, and we will have this video posted on our YouTube channel and our website for future reference. You don't have to keep your camera on if you're not comfortable with that. You have the option to be still in the discussion and have your camera off. So I don't have to worry about that. And to make sure that the event goes smoothly, all the microphones as you come in will be muted throughout the discussion. And if you would like to speak, you can use the raise hand function. You can find this function in the lower bar in the participants tab. So if you see on your Zoom window, there's a participants tab. If you click that, you have some options. You have like yes, no, some options, and you have also raise hands. If you do that, I'll be able to see who it was, and I'll call you out and ask you to unmute yourself. And then you can also, if you don't want to participate verbally, but you still want to make some comments, you have the option of writing comments through the chat. You can also find that in the Zoom lower bar. So right next to participants, you have chat, and you can use that. We'll be having a Q&A at the end, at the last 20 minutes, roughly. So you can chime in with questions and comments through the chat throughout the discussion, and I'll be collecting those. Mark will also be seeing those for some interesting comments that he wants to point out for the discussion, but I'll be monitoring that and collecting the questions for later in the discussion. You can ask throughout, but the main Q&A part will be through the end. You can use either the chat or the raise function. And now I would like to introduce you to today's moderator, Mark Clayton Southers. He's an award-winning playwright, and he's also the founder and producing artistic director of the Pittsburgh Playwrights Theatre Company. So thank you, Mark.
Thank you for having me. Cool. All right, how's everybody doing? Brian, Jose, I don't see Brian on my screen. Let me see. Okay.
I'm good.
Great. So I waited to the last minute to watch it, and that's Coco. I waited to the last minute to watch it. Hold on one second. I waited to the last minute to watch it so it would be fresh on my mind, you know. I was amazed. It's a beautiful, well-filmed, well-written short film, and I have tons of questions about it. So let's dive right in, Brian. Let's talk about the title. Let's talk about the title, and did the title come at the beginning, the middle, or at the end for you?
This is the first question everybody asks. The title, I had never written anything like this before. I had never written a screenplay. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to start it. I didn't know if I started it with dialogue. I didn't know if I started it with scene setting. Like, I had no idea. So in my attempt to scene set, I wrote the word garbage because in a lot of underserved neighborhoods, you see a lot of garbage like laying around on the roadside, on the street. And I wrote, garbage everywhere or something like that, as I was like making this feeble attempt to set the scene. And when I gave it to Jose, he was just like, what is this? And I was like, I don't know. I was trying to scene set, and he ended up cutting it, but it's an accident. Like, the fact that this film is named Garbage is an accident. Like, he cut it, and we ended up, the first sentence got cut, and the only word that remained was garbage. And so we just kind of forgot about it and went with it. And then at the end of it, it was called Garbage.
Yeah. Well,
I think that's how the film became Garbage.
Yeah. I think going in and watching it and seeing the title, I think everybody can try to associate. I think I lost you guys. Hold on a minute. I did something. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can
Hold
hear
on.
you.
Something happened on my phone. I touched my screen and I did too much swiping here. Let me see. I'm almost back. Hold on a minute. Oh boy. Okay. I'm gonna go to Zoom, see if you guys. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Wow. Let's just consider that our commercial break. Okay. Okay. So yeah, I think when people see the title, they look for correlations, and different people with different backgrounds will associate it with different things. You know, even long after I watched it, I tried to imagine myself as a Caucasian person, and how would that Caucasian person think about garbage, and what did it apply to? You know what I mean? I mean, there's all kind of different things in there, so you can get lost in that. Now, speaking of neighborhoods and garbage, you guys came to my neighborhood and filmed that. I just saw that the sign that showed the candy bar inside on the bricks.
Mhm.
Jose,
Yeah.
who picked those things? Who picked the areas to shoot in? Who was your location person?
Well, that was my responsibility. I mean, for me, I wanted to shoot in the Hill District. I wanted to be true to the descriptions that Brian was doing in the script. But for me, it was very important to do it in the Hill District because of mainly because for me, when I'm trying to make the places a character, you know, they're not just a background, but they are a character. So it was very important to me because in my films, even if it's film is in the fiction piece, I coming from the documentary world, and I think in every fiction piece there is a documentary element that is there, and that's why for me it was very important to shoot in a real place in the Hill District where the action happened on the script. So it was me who actually went around and find the locations, thinking on that those locations also were, you know, as I said, a character on the story.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of tie-ins. I grew up playing on that street, and where that Clark Bar sign is, that was painted there for the movie Fences. That was a leftover from about 4 years
I
ago
didn't
when
know
they
that.
filmed Fences. Yeah, they painted that there for the movie to set the
Wow, that's
tone,
interesting.
you know. And in that garage, a friend of mine keeps all his lawn gear in that garage. And then the apartment buildings where Tammy was walking by, that street there, you know, the little corner store that's right there.
Yeah.
That's my brother's store in there. So
Oh,
so that whole neighborhood. And then what's really wild about it is that one of your actors, Tracy Turner, used to live on that same street. She lived
he never said anything.
she lived 2 blocks up on the left for quite a while on that street. So it was great to see my neighborhood in the film.
I have to say that the garbage was there. The garbage that you see in the frame was actually there. I didn't.
Yeah, probably so. Probably so. Yeah, there's been some lot of gentrification going on, a lot of contractors leaving stuff laying around too. But so I want to talk about the table work that took place prior to shooting. Was there table work with the actors? And if so, what kind of questions were brought up pertaining to the script?
Well, in my work process, you know, first of all, you know, I have to have a story. You know, there's nothing, I don't think anything else until I think I have a story. And that it was, you know, accomplished, you know, working with Brian, that we got to that, what garbage is. And then the second part of more important in the film, but after the story, is the cast. And the cast was actually complicated, you know, because we had a limited budget. And first of all, I was looking for, you know, the young kid, you know, the main character, and that I went to Carnegie Mellon, and I found Antonio Jeffries at Carnegie Mellon. We did some casting sessions over there, him and I, and my assistant producer Ashley. And immediately I was, you know, I thought that he was perfect for the role. Then I started looking for the teacher. And initially, and that's maybe interesting for people to know, initially I was looking for an older actress, you know, and I found one, an excellent actress, and I was totally on board with her, with Antonio. We did a casting session together. We ran a couple of scenes together, and it wasn't working. And I was really close to start shooting, and it was just hard to find this person. But what happened is there was not sexual chemistry between them.
Yeah.
And the film is not about that,
Yeah.
but it was kind of important that that element
Right.
was there.
Right.
The age difference.
Now, did the dialogue change at all once you brought Tammy on board, a younger
No.
actress, or same?
No.
Because see, when she's throwing up in the classroom, then when she goes to his house, I mean, you think, you know, you people start thinking. Some people, I did, start thinking that there's something going on between the two of them, and maybe she was
Correct.
coming to tell him that she was pregnant. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's what I got out of it, which probably wouldn't have worked with an older actress. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was difficult, but so then I needed to, you know, start looking again for an actress, and you know, luckily I knew Tammy, and I have a lot of respect for her, for the work. So I knew she could do it. So she finally got on board, and with Tracy, an executive producer of the film, Christiana, mentioned her. I did it. We did a casting session, and she was just right on.
She's rock
So
solid.
that was the process. And after that, I think it's pretty similar to anything. We all got together, the three of us. Well, mainly Tammy and Antonio, and then with Brian, and we went through the dialogues, and we just worked together. You know, just through the film, you know, on my basement, until we finally got to the house.
Okay. Hey,
That's
Brian.
the only one that I went through. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
I mean, I went to one read through, and then I went to the set one time, and I couldn't handle it. Like it's too much. Like for me, to see like these words that you've written and these characters that you've kind of created in your head, all of a sudden like turn into real people. Like I went to the set and I was like, I gotta get the hell out of here, because I don't know what else is going to pop out of my head that I've been, you know, thinking about. You know what I mean? It feels very surreal. So, and I saw them like saying the words that I wrote. So I was like, I can't be around this. It's too much, because, you know, I was afraid that I might start writing differently after I saw the way the actors interpreted the words. So I didn't want to do that. I was like, I want to write the thing I want to write, because I am a pure artist, damn it. And so I didn't want to go to the readings and the set. Like I just I left that to Jose and the actors. But the thing that I learned, because my background is not in screenwriting, nor is it even in fiction. Like my whole thing has been long, you know, form narrative nonfiction, and so it was really a different thing to do, to try to write, you know, this fictional piece. And one of the best things I learned was like on my first attempt, I was writing like these long, beautiful speeches Like, you know, everybody was like Shakespeare. I was like writing these beautiful purple prose speeches, and I would give it to Jose, and he'd be like, "Yeah, dude, people don't talk like this. You know, you've got to cut like all of
Let's
this.
keep it real.
These 3 pages."
Jose had to tell you.
Yeah,
Keep
exactly.
It real, right?
Like, these 3 pages you wrote. Exactly, because I was like, it has to, you know, I was so interested in my own words that I forgot about
Yeah.
the fact that there are actors. And I remember one day he said, like, these 3 pages you wrote, like, yeah, that needs to be like 2 sentences.
Yeah. Well,
So that was a really big
yeah.
lesson to learn.
Yeah. Well, if it helps to know, you know, August Wilson used to do a lot of poetry, and he wrote in a way of Irish poets and things like that. And then one day he just decided to write about the common man and use their voices and the stories that he have heard, you know what I mean? So it's a process. It's a process. I enjoyed the cast. I thought it was a great cast. So this story that you wrote, where did you start? Where was the inception of it?
Me? Oh, it wasn't this.
Yeah.
The story itself is not my idea at all. Like, I got a call or an email from Christiana, who's a producer. She said, "I know this guy, and he has this idea for a movie. Can I get him in touch with you?" And I said, "I've never written a movie." And she said, "I don't care. Like, talk to him." And so I met Jose, and we had a phone call, and he told me his idea. He just told me like the concept. Like, there's this white woman, there's this black guy, and she wants him to kill her. And I thought, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I didn't think it was. I just thought that's so like unlikely. Like, that's such a weird thing. And so I started, and I agreed to do it because I thought, well, you know, nothing's gonna come of it.
In our community, that's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like it's. I started to really think about it, and I started thinking, well, you know, the way that race is set up in this country, I think white Americans do believe that Black Americans are capable of a lot of nefariousness. So I kind of based it on that. Like, she thinks she's doing him a good turn by asking him that. And then I actually looked it up, and there's an actual real case of this in New York City. It was involving a white man and a black man. The white man was, I believe, he was terminally ill, or he was in a bunch of trouble, and he went to Brooklyn and he asked a black man to kill him, and the black man did. And I'll give you 3 guesses where that black man is right now. So yeah, it wasn't my concept, but I just kind of stretched it, and I thought about like, yeah, exactly. I thought about the people involved. What would these people be like?
Yeah. Right. So Jose is the guy that Christiana was talking about that had the idea.
Right.
Is that the? Okay.
Yeah,
all
that's
right,
great.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
All right. So Jose, how did that idea pop in your head?
I don't know really. Just came up to me. I mean, I haven't had any. I mean, I wasn't aware that it happened before. That's something that Brian found out. But for me, I was just looking for a premise, a device that I knew we had potential into a film, especially and it was just that. It was just a device to put it in the hands of someone like Brian and develop a story. You know, I just wanted to have this confrontation. We wanted to turn things, you know, around in a way. You know, it's a white person going for help, you know, but it's a kind of in a weird way. You know, the idea of the white savior. I mean, it was all elements that I saw there that it has interesting spin, that that I wanted to someone like Brian, because I didn't want it to be my story. I will not do that. So that's why I wanted to have some Black writer to actually write about it. My only intervention with the script was about what Brian was saying. This is too long. It's too long. It's too long. That's pretty much what I say all along. But I didn't tell Brian. I didn't participate in the story, how it developed. The only thing we add later on is the mother scene that happened at the beginning of the film. Because actually that's something that because one of the reasons for me to make this film is I wanted to have my own personal experience working with Black America, with Brian, and I wanted to have my own experience there,
Right.
because that's what I do. That's what I make films. They're important to me. I have this, the social responsibility, things like that, and I wanted to actually have my own, because the world that was here, we believe very isolated. It's a world that live totally apart. So I wanted to find excuse to actually get involved and get my hands dirty, and be there and learn for real. That's all I wanted. So it was a very rich experience for me on that sense.
Cool. Hey, so Brian, one of the things that I learned from August Wilson, and this was out of workshop that he was doing in South Africa, a master class in playwriting, is that you can start anywhere you want in storytelling, and you have to put it together. You know what I mean? Where where folks first starting out, a lot of people think you got to start at the beginning and write straight to the end. Where did you start in this process, Brian?
When I wrote it, I started with yeah, I started by writing the word garbage, but then it wasn't working. So when it actually started to work for me, is I started with the argument between the two of them, with the male character's speech to the white woman about why he wasn't going to do it, or why did she even think that he would do something like this. Like, that's the first thing that I wrote, and I just kind of went out from there. What are these circumstances? Why did she think he would do it? What's compelling? And I thought, what's compelling her? Like, what is her reason for asking this? Why would she jump to such a conclusion? I didn't want either character to be like the good guy or the bad guy. I wanted to be real careful about that. That's where I started. I started with the sort of the more intense portion of the confrontation, and I worked out from there.
Mark,
You're
you're
muted.
muted.
Sorry about that. I get a lot of calls. I've gotten a lot of calls over the years from Caucasian playwrights asking me to work with them on plays because they want a Black voice. And and I usually don't do that. And I think people should just write, you know what I mean? So when you write, I do feel that African Americans know everybody, you know what I mean? Because we're around everybody, but there are some white Americans that aren't necessarily around African Americans to know the lingo and know how they talk and things like that. And that's why when some of them do it, it comes off as stereotypical type stuff or things that they learned on TV, or saw in movies per se. I thought that you wrote all these characters pretty well. They were well. It's really great, and a lot of it had to do with the direction too and the visuals. It's really great to watch a movie, and it didn't even matter what the length was. and you get, I guess the word is engrossed in it. You get drawn in, and then it's a movie. And I felt like those were real people, and that's saying a lot for people, someone who knows the actors, and you know what I mean. I just thought that it was very well done. I liked the drone footage was great, and nice and smooth, and even going through the neighborhood, the tight shots and things of that nature. Now, let me ask you this one more question to you, Brian. Once you saw the final project, are there things that you wrote or situations in there that turned out different, that came back at you and you were like, oh wow, okay, that was different, you know? Anything like that that jumped out at you that from the finished project from your page film that you that was slightly different from your original intention, but the artistic quality took it somewhere else? Did that happen for you?
I mean, nothing in the final project ended up like it went on in my head. Once you give something to, I mean, the dialogue in this film comes from my own code switching. Like, I talk completely differently around my Black friends than I do around if there are white people in the room, right? So the male character is me talking to, you know, my Black friends, and the white woman character is me talking to my class at Pitt, you know. That whole thing just comes from my code switching, and to see it played out in two different people, you know, is completely freaky. Like, because in a way I am her, and in a way I am him. But to hand it off to actors, you don't know what to expect, and I was pleasantly surprised by what they did with it. By the things I had accented in my head, or the things that I thought were important in the dialogue that I wrote. You know, sometimes Tammy would like go straight past that and emphasize another thing. So it was just little things like that, you know, that process of collaboration where you give somebody something and they make something else completely, something out of it completely. But nothing on the screen ended up like it was in my head when I wrote it.
You look like Martin Luther King in that lighting right there.
I've been told this before. I am so handsome. It's just,
I'm expecting you to do a little sermon any moment, you know.
I might tell you that I have a dream by the end of this whole thing, because I do. Right.
Hey, Jose, casting to me as a director, stage director, casting to me is 80% of my challenge, because like you spoke about earlier, you want to get the right chemistry, you know what I mean? Because the right chemistry really helps move the story along and helps visually. You know, you want to get people who have nuances and things like that, because it really brings these characters to life. For you, how important is casting?
As I mentioned before in my, you know, I wanted to, you know, the story is first and the cast is second. As a matter of fact, this is my third fiction project. In the three of them, I told to myself, if I don't find the right cast, I'm not going to do this project. Because if you don't find the right cast, you are done. Basically, you're done. There's nothing you can do about it in post, or there's nothing you can do. So for me, it was I put a lot of time into finding the cast, because it was you know, after the story is the most important thing. And third is the vision of the director, the directing part of it. But I didn't want to put the directing part of it at the, you know, I wanted to put it like in that order, you know, story, cast, and directing. And one thing I forgot to mention before when I was talking, I was that the scene of the mother was not part of the film at the beginning, but in my conversations with Brian, he always, I heard him a few times saying, I mean, a black film without a mother is, is something really important missing, that element, and that's one of the reasons that we incorporated her into the film.
It was a great choice. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about the struggle of working with Brian in terms of, the dialogue driven, everything he did. That's one of the reasons also that I introduced the scene with her throwing up, or him in the basement, or fighting. There were just visual elements without no dialogue that it was important to me, because I think that a little bit of abstraction, it is important to me when I make a film, because you let the audiences be more engaged, because you have to put a little bit of your part to trying to decode what you are seeing. And using that kind of device, it makes you be more engaged with the film, rather than sitting back and just listen. Oh, they're going to tell me everything I need to know. So for me, one way to kind of act a little bit that and translating that script to, a film, a visual story, the visual storytelling part, that it was a little bit missing. That's why I incorporated those elements, to trying to get the audiences, try to get the audiences more engaged, because you have to start thinking and trying to put the pieces together, and you don't have all the information.
Mm-hmm. So have the two of you guys talked about another project? I'm sure you probably have. You've talked about any other projects that you might want to work on and collaborate on together?
I can't work with this man again.
Can you talk about it?
We are not even speaking terms, actually.
After that last motorcycle ride, Jose took me on the back of his motorcycle, and now I don't trust him. No, well, we haven't, and I think that's only because both of us got really busy, and then pandemic, and then a bunch of other things. I would be completely open to working with Jose again. I found it a really a great experience. Like I said, I had never written anything like this before, and then after a while, I was like, holy shit, I have power to make people say things and do things that I want them to do. I'm all powerful. I'm a puppet master. So I really had a lot of fun writing this. So if he comes to me with another insane idea, I would be happy to write it.
Well, one of my goals with this.
Now, have you?
No, one way to
go ahead, Jose.
Actually, for me, was actually. I mean, I don't think I had any, black friends really. I knew, people, and I have some, acquaintances, things like that. But for me to become, have a Brian as a friend is actually one of the things that I wanted to accomplish with this film. To really be more connected to that part of America.
And I've learned a lot of Spanish.
Cool. Yes, we text in Spanish sometimes. That's true.
Okay. Brian, I'm sure you've had other ideas pop in your head, have you?
Well, I'm not supposed to say anything, but I am writing because whatever, we're all friends here. I'm writing a television show. I can't say anything more about that, but after this experience, I got the opportunity to write on a TV show. I can't say what it is, but that's happening. Also, I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to do this because I have no shame. No, to plug my book. Yay! This is my book. Right. It's a memoir. It's called Punch Me Up to the Gods. And you can go to brianbroome.com and read more about it, and then buy many copies. So now that that's out of the way.
Cool. So,
yeah.
New play.
Oh, see, everybody plug something. Everybody. I forgot what I was saying, but In the end, I would love,
Ideas.
I don't, I'm not an idea guy. Like, I don't think I'm an idea guy. I think that somebody comes to me with an idea, and then that's where I start to become imaginative, you know.
Starts to germinate. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody's like, okay, there's these two, Russian guys caught on a lifeboat, and one of them has diarrhea. Like, that's where I start. I'm not the idea guy. I like putting words in people's mouths and
Mhm.
and having them, act out a sort of premise that somebody else sets up for me.
Mhm. Jose, um, um, did you employ any students on your crew? Did you have students working with you guys?
Matter of fact, I did. The crew was a mix of professional people with a lot of years of experience, but also I had students from Art Institute and also Point Park. I was teaching at that moment in Art Institute and Point Park, and I have students from both. Yeah.
Cool. That's great. Yeah, it's So how long have you been in Pittsburgh? You've been here for a while, huh?
22 years now.
Right. Yeah, Pittsburgh does a lot of film stuff. It goes way back to remember the Deer Hunter was filmed here, and
I do, yeah. And it's a very interesting because I saw the Deer Hunter in Spain when all of this for me was so foreign.
Wow.
And then I saw it here, a few years ago, being actually my landscape, And it's interesting that you say that, because when I was talking before about make the place a character instead of a background, I think Deer Hunter was for me the first film that I saw Pittsburgh or Clayton, where it was shot, that it was competing with Meryl Streep and Robert De Niro and Christopher Walken. It was not a background, it was just kind of like one more character. And that made a big impression on me, actually, in taking that in consideration when I attempt to make a film.
Yeah. Yeah, Pittsburgh is very rich with actors as well. A lot of very good actors live in Pittsburgh. Randy Kovitz makes his home here. He's a dynamic fight choreographer as well. And the reason why I dropped his name in, because he did a film that I happened to be in, and it was just fun shooting it in Pittsburgh. We shot it down at Polish Hill, so it's always a lot of fun. But we have a really, really good industry here. A lot of folks that work in the film business, and it's just a great city to be in for that. And what I really liked about your film is that the young character. This is for both of you guys. The young character, the young man, he was super bright, and he thought about all the different ins and outs of this potential deal. And usually in the moment, someone really probably won't think about all that stuff. But the fact that it was his teacher, you know what I mean? And he knew his mom was at work. He took time to listen to her and basically break it down to her, and he flipped it on her. And she walked out of there without being able to cash in her check, what she wanted to do, which I thought was great. It showed the human side of a young man, where more times than not, in the 11 o'clock news and the 6 o'clock news and the newspapers, they always are looked down upon, you know what I mean? And it's rough out there. A lot of people don't understand how hard it is to survive out here. And if we talk about the gun violence and the black on black crime, and I've always said that all these things are a result of slavery and trying to move forward into the future, and all these things that hang on to us that have caused all these different problems, whether it's addiction or homelessness, or not having good jobs and things like that. I think it's all a result from that. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. They say you're playing the race card or things like that. Can we talk about that a little bit and how people are perceived, and everybody's puts everybody in one box sometimes, as these cultures do. Anybody want to dive in on that? Anybody want to dump in the deep water on that one?
I'll put on my bathing suit. You know, I always say that racism in America is like, you know, a rusty gate, right? Like it's this gate that keeps creaking. It creaks every once in a while. And what we do, I think, in our society is we slap a coat of paint on it. You know, that doesn't stop the gate from being rusty. It doesn't stop it from creaking, you know. It just makes it look better for a little while until it all comes back up again. I think that's where we are right now in 2020. Like the gate's starting to creak again. I think the powers that be are just trying to decide what coat of paint to slap on it when the gate just needs to be replaced. We need a new gate. Like we need to start fresh. But you know, again, how do you do that? As an African American, I know that you know, there's deep seated resentment in my family for white people. You know, I have relatives who won't talk to white people, who try to avoid white people at every turn. My mother has never had a white friend, and she can't understand why I do. And I know that all comes historically from, you know, people don't like to say it, like we are still living in a modified Jim Crow, in my opinion. It's a Jim Crow with a new coat, the latest coat of paint on it. And that's kind of the thing that I was trying to address in the film too. Like, you know, it's a true thing. Down the street from my house, there's a store. It's a regular Giant Eagle, where when you go in, you have to give a security guard your bag, because it's in a black neighborhood. Now, I assume that that's because they've had problems with theft, but you know, every store has problems with theft, and what it does to me psychologically is like you've already sort of tagged me as a criminal even before I get in here. I think that's a lot of the stigma that African Americans walk around with, you know, this idea of what white people think of us or what they think we're capable of, etc. So, yeah, I think we have a lot of work to do. People say that all the time, but we definitely have a lot of work to do. I try to do my part. I try not to be. I don't hate white people. I hate white supremacy, and I hate anybody who practices it. And I try to remind myself that every day.
Cool. Well, Jose, did you want to chime in on that at all? Then we're going to go to some questions from the audience.
Well, the only thing coming to my mind is, again, what things that I learned, and I wanted to learn more. I wanted to actually be more sensitive to the issues. But one of the things that I learned with Brian is through this perspective that when Black people wants to move forward in the world, they have to go to white people, you know, but white people don't have to go to Black people to move forward in the world, you know. And that kind of thing was very, very striking to me to realize that that's how it is.
Mm. Okay, we're going to take some questions.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, you can feel free to put them in the chat or raise your hand, and I will call you out for to unmute yourself. So, if anyone wants to step in, let's see. If not, we can continue with the previous discussion.
Well, let's bring Tammy in. I see Tammy's in the audience, Tammy Dixon. And let's talk
Tammy?
to her about her experience. Tammy?
Let me find Tammy and I'll ask her to.
I saw her name
I
on
didn't see
there.
Tammy, but I saw Brad Green, the cinematographer, that I want to do a shout out for Brad
yeah.
Green too, who's
Bring him in.
listened to us, and he was it's a big part of the film too.
Cool. Beautiful.
Hi, Tammy.
Hi
So
Jose.
good to see you.
Hi Brad.
Hey, Tammy. Hey, you want to talk about how you got into your character? What did you, what kind of research and what past experiences did you pull from?
Oh man.
I mean, things that you may have observed.
We observe it every day. We see it all the time. And I mean, what an honor to be a part of this film. And Brian's writing so powerful. And that's all I need as an actor is the words and amazing words. Makes it even easier. So it was very easy to identify this woman. And because I was really really wanting to not play a two-dimensional white woman. I wanted to make sure it just wasn't a stereotype of a Karen. And at the same time, wow, I just struggled with the reality of this person. This request, this audacity. And I really wanted some, some thread of hope for this white woman. But this is not her film. And I think it's so right that she has to slither away and be schooled by this young man. And it's just difficult stuff, I had to work across from Antonio, who's brilliant, and assume that some of the things that he was articulating are real experiences for him, and the pain of standing in front of somebody telling me that truth. That's hard. And holding the weight of all the white people, the poorly educated, the isolated white people do not have relationships, diverse relationships, and make assumptions. And yeah, I love what Adrian just said in the chat. The teacher has to be taught, and we all. I mean, we have to go back to school. We have a messed up, wrong, lied to version of American history, and an unraveling of that needs to take place. And I think films like this that challenge your viewing. And when Mark texted me this morning at like 8:30 after he watched it, I was like, why would you watch this film at 8 a.m.? A hard thing to carry around, and but an incredibly crucial and important thing. So the work is not as the actor, it's all in the words and the storytelling and the atmosphere that Jose and his team created for this work to happen. And that formula made for, I think, an incredibly powerful experience, both for me in front of the camera and when I watch it, as well, behind the camera.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you. I saw that Michelle De Lorenza is in the audience. Michelle, are you there? I got a question for you.
We also have a question. After that, we can go to John Carson.
Okay.
He had a question.
Okay, cool.
I haven't really got
Cool.
a question. I just want to compliment everyone who was involved, the actors and Jose and Brian. I thought it was a terrific piece of work, really intense. And I loved how it kept turning over the unexpected. You know, we assumed certain things, and then that was pulled away from under us. You know, I the desperation of the white woman. You know, was I thought Tammy got really well, and but I was really impressed with the dignity of the young man and the kind of reasoning of the young man and the vision that he had, the understanding that he had. So I just want to compliment everyone who was involved.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Yeah. So, is Michelle still there? Can you pull up Michelle De Lorenza?
Hola, Michelle.
Hey, so
Hola,
Michelle,
Rey.
I got a question for you. So, as a choreographer, when you watched the movie, what went through your mind?
I would love to answer that, but I can't answer it authentically because I came to this first and I'm going to see the film after.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool. All
You
right.
want to
cool.
know what happened? We lost our dog, but look, he's back. We found
Oh,
him. He
wow.
jumped the fence. And
Oh,
so we were
wow.
out in the snow in my slippers trying to find Sheppy.
Wow.
That's the real truth. However,
Yeah.
I will get, as soon as I see it, I'm so excited to see it, and also the richness of this conversation,
Yeah.
to enter it in that way. I'll be calling you back.
I think you'll see a dance piece in this because I saw opera in it as well. I saw it as a mini opera, but I can also see it as a dance piece. So I just want to have that conversation with you.
I love that.
know.
I'll look at it also with that lens.
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Okay, good to see you, and glad
Good
you
to
got
see
your
you.
dog back. Okay.
I was stressed, but sorry.
Okay. Any more questions out there?
I want to follow up with what Tammy was saying before, because it is true that was for part of the process, asking, you know, Tammy was asking, we were talking about, because she gets so deep into the character, he can keep asking questions all the time for the good of the project, right? You know, but she wanted to, at some points, like, okay, it's not a redeeming quality, or should they have a monologue at the end, like trying to redeem this white lady? And that was a sort of we were actually going back and forth between that, but yeah, finally we didn't do it, you know, because as she said before, it's not her movie, you know? I mean,
Right.
we're there something for white people to learn something. And also, you were talking before, Mark, and something for me is important about, you know, to get trapped or to get in a film. And for me also, there are two kind of films, really. The ones they are flat, you know, you see a two-dimensional characters coming in and out of the frame, and it's flat. And also films that feel like a tunnel that you are sucked in. And that's for me always an obsession when I make a film, that they have that quality, the quality of a tunnel that you get sucked in. And that is the work of the writing, the actors, the director, and from everybody participated there. But at the end of the day, I'm just happy if the film feels like that, like it's a tunnel that you are getting sucked in. You know?
You know what drew me in right away is the very beginning. You know, what is he doing? It's out of frame. What is he down the basement doing? What is he doing? What is he doing? What is he doing? Good or bad? Good or bad? Good or bad? You know what I mean? And that just draws you in because you think there's something going on. You know what I mean? And it was like a MacGuffin. You know what I mean? It was, you know, like a red herring. Like, okay, you know, but it keeps you looking for more clues. You know, we're looking for more clues. Keeps you engrossed in what's going on. You know what I mean? So I thought it was a nice ride. It was a nice ride. Yeah.
Very good.
Do we have any more questions? Come on, Mark Freeman. I know you got a question. one of my board
There's
members.
there's somebody out there who has the exact same maiden name as my mother.
Oh yeah.
And I want to hear from that person because I want to know if we're related somehow. Roger Rouse, you and my mother have the same you have the same maiden name as my mother. That's probably you're going to use that and get into all my accounts now. But like we're related, man.
Your uncle.
I've been looking for a family resemblance for an hour. I'm not seeing it yet, but I'm sure if we met, I'd see it.
Roger, where are you? Roger, you're unmuted. Let me.
Hey,
yeah,
thank you.
Go.
Hey, I wish I were related, and I wish you could find a resemblance given your description of your own handsomeness. It seems kind of self-evident. It would be a pleasure to talk about the work you've been doing. Congratulations to everyone. I did have one observation that we can pretend is a question for people to comment on. You talked about introducing the scene with the mother right at the end. But it seemed to me it served an awful lot of very powerful purposes, because it's not just an exchange with the mother. They've just come back from a funeral. They're both wearing black. And so the whole theme of death is introduced very early on. And then the question that she raises and then is echoed by the young man is the question, what's the relationship between quick death and slow death?
Oh yeah.
And who gets
That
to
was
experience those different kinds of death? And I
Yeah,
think
that was powerful.
it was very powerful. And I take the point of the young man entirely. But I also think that in hyper-exploited groups, there's slow violence and slow death too.
That's true.
And, I don't know how you capture the relationship between the quick ones and the slow ones. But among the many things the film made me think about was that relationship and how the distribution of those different kinds of dying operates in a society that's so racially and class divided.
Right.
But thank you all.
Cool. Very good. Very good. Good info.
I thought it was a good idea we had talked about introducing the mother character, and it was essential for me because I thought to myself, like, that's kind of the one thing that Black men and white women have in common, is that they both, socially speaking, are above Black women. In this weird sort of social hierarchy that we've set up for ourselves in this country. Black men wield power over Black women, as do white women. And so I wanted a Black woman to have a voice, and not just any voice. Like, I'm tired of the whole stereotype of the Black woman with the paper Jesus fan and a Bible, praising the Lord. I just am so sick of seeing that. And so I wanted the mother to just be like, I don't believe in this shit. Like, I don't believe in God. When you're dead, you're dead. Like, this is just some bullshit story that we're told, and to keep us supplicant. So I wanted her to have some power in that regard as well, because we've all seen movies where some poor bereaved Black mother is like clutching her Bible and running out into the middle of the street yelling, my baby's dead, and I'm sort of tired of that because there are all kinds of Black mothers. The thing that we get fed through film and media a lot is it's the thing about being a minority. Whatever's out there, the majority thinks that that's you. And that's what you become, and you have to sort of spend a lot of your valuable time fighting against this thing that the media puts out there. Sorry, I feel like I'm in a brothel. This is my fan or my lamp. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that the Black woman character gets her due, because I think that it's very important. I think she's a very important and pivotal character.
That's why it's important to have your own things, and so you can create without. One of the things that having my own theater and being a playwright is I don't have to worry about people shut me down or you can't do that. It's not going to happen. Because, you know, I could tell the stories I want to tell without having to try to sugarcoat them to get through the door. You know what I mean? So I applaud you on that and giving her the authentic voice that you wanted her to have, opposed to the stereotypical thing that everybody expects. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you picked a very good actress for it because she's believable. You know, she has the nuances. Tracy's voice is very commanding. You know what I mean? So there was strength in that character, you know, and she believed in what she was saying. It wasn't like she was just trying to sugarcoat him. She's trying to raise him the best as she can. And she's not trying to see him not make it out of his 20s. You know what I mean?
Shot that scene a month after Anton Rose was killed. So that was in the air, and it was very present still when we did.
Yeah.
Mark, I think you froze a little, but I think we're at our time now, and
Wow. Wow.
So
That
I can
was fresh.
okay, I can hear you now, Mark. But I think we're at our time.
Okay.
Sorry, Mark.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, yeah, you had frozen for a second.
Oh, I was?
No, yeah, you can.
Cool. Well,
But yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone, you know, for participating and for all, you know, this amazing discussion. Thank you, Mark, for moderating, and for Jose and Brian for being here, and for this amazing film, and also Tammy for participating a little bit in the discussion as well. We also wanted to thank Detroit College Computing Services for helping us out. And just want to add, if you're interested in hearing more about Jose about his film and filmmaking process, we have our podcast, the CMU International Film Festival podcast. You can find it on our website, and we invite you to listen to it. And also, we're going to be sending out a survey shortly after this event in the coming days about how we can improve this and what aspects you enjoyed it the most. So your responses will be really valuable for us for future events. So the film will still be available until December 20, until Sunday. So if you haven't watched it, or if you register but you still have to watch it, you still have until December 20 to watch. Or if you want to see it again. I just want to thank everyone. And if Mark or Jose or Brian have any final remarks, I'll leave it to them. Thank you.
Buy my book.
I just want to thank everybody who participated in the film. But also want to thank to Yolanta and the Carnegie Mellon International Film Festival for not only bringing phenomenal international challenging films, but also support local filmmakers.
And I just want to echo that. Thank you to everybody. Thank you for showing interest in our film. I really appreciate it. I've had a really great time. Thank you so much.
Cool. Well, thank you all for having me. It was an honor to sit and chat with you both. Tremendous film, very powerful film, and I'm glad it was made right here in Pittsburgh. Thanks again, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you all. Yeah.